Well, excuse the other me, but Calm Cody is about to go on a really long vacation. Here we are doing an extra emergency episode because there's an extra bad emergency brewing in Stillwater, Oklahoma.
You are Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma State Cowboys, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Howdy, y'all, and hello, all. Welcome back to Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily stop for all things Cowboy and Cowgirl related. My name is Cody Stovall. I want to thank you kindly for stopping by to make this your first listen. We're available on all of your podcasting platforms, visually as well on YouTube. Find me personally on X at All Day O State. Today, we're partially brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment matter more with FanDuel. Right now, you can place a $5 bet and get started with $200 back in bonus bets guaranteed. Make sure that you visit FanDuel.com to get started today. Meanwhile, we shift into this unfortunate emergency episode. We are in a precarious situation right now when it comes to depth. Now, I did say before the season started, this is likely the most athletic and deepest team we've had in quite some time. It would have been nice to see some of the dudes throughout the course of the season, but it was also predicated upon us beating the tar out of teams, which we have not been able to do, so we haven't seen the younger cats. Well, now, unfortunately, we're in a position that we are going to see a lot of them, so we need to get familiar with some of the names and some of the faces that will be on the field Saturday because, as most of you likely have already heard or gathered, Nick Martin, the MRI is back, and I don't think it looks very good. We're still at least a month out from Collin Oliver being ready. Luckily, I think Justin Wright will be back in a few weeks, but now we're looking at a situation that is an emergency because, I'm sorry, I love the story of Chance Clements, right? Joe Bob's son. But if a 6 foot, 205-pound linebacker is starting, we have problems. KD has had an issue that has been lingering for a little over a week and a half, 2 weeks now. Now, it does appear as though as of yesterday, it is starting to heal up a little bit. So the prognosis for him on Saturday looks decent, right? But he's not going to be quite the same speed he was typically because he's not 100%. So now we need to take into consideration that Oklahoma State is in a position that the depth on the linebacker core is about to be tested tremendously, which also means if the guys are running cross country in the back end, that means some of the safeties and some of the DBs are likely going to be in a little bit of a banged up situation as well, right? We did cover earlier in the week how we are having some slight issues in the back end simply because of the number of snaps that everybody's taking. If you want to get up in arms and angry about the fact that Nick Martin was in the game at the end of a blowout, basically, you should have that argument. And that is something that Bryan Nardo and everybody else on the defensive staff needs to sit down and pay attention to. If there was going to be a time to get everybody ready, maybe it's while we're getting our head bashed in, right? That might be a decent idea. We don't want to lose our best player on the team for no reason at the end of the game. But that is precisely what has happened. So we're out Collin Oliver. We're out Nick Martin. KD's got a little bit of an issue that he's been dealing with that maybe will have him good to go for tomorrow. But this is a disaster. If we're relying, again, on a 6 foot, 205-pound, quote-unquote linebacker, we're in trouble. Now, I understand Chance Clements intellectually understands the game to a very, very massive degree. And understand his dad being the linebacker coach clearly is going to get him a little bit of an advantage when it comes to the film room and what to look at. So, again, intellectually, I'm excited. I think this is a really awesome opportunity for Chance Clements. But if we're only carrying like 5 linebackers that dress out, then we are putting ourselves in a bad spot. If we're in a position that we only have 5 or 6 linebackers that can dress out, that's even more problematic. Now, I do not think that this is an issue with the coaches, purposely making ridiculous decisions. But again, you got to find a way to soul search a little bit and ask yourself, why in God's purple earth did we have our best players still out in the field when we were down by 20-something at the end of a ball game with a quarterback that can't throw a ball, an offensive coordinator that can't call a play, and currently a DC that can't get his team up the field enough to equal W's? I'm not saying that we're cashing in the season, but it doesn't appear as though that we're putting ourselves in a position to make a run at a Big 12 title. So I had already predicted that this would likely be a loss. I predicted that it would be a close game, but it's not going to be. And now the Zane injury seems to be significantly bigger than initially thought. So everybody hooting and hollering about let's jump aboard the Zane train. Unfortunately, the Zane train is not able to go on the tracks. The Zane train is stuck in the station for a while, just like Nick Martin, just like Collin Oliver, just like Justin Wright. This season is kind of hanging on the balance of this game. We're already in a position from a depth chart, standpoint that we're having to get guys ready and rotate them with the 2s and 3s right now that we know just aren't ready. Physically, yes, but understanding of the playbook and understanding where to be and how to take the proper angles and cut off blockers from getting to the second level, those style of things we still have issues with because young dudes are going to take some time, and it has to be a little bit of a live fire exercise before it comes together. But the injury bug has hit us extremely hard. Unfortunately, this is kind of looking like a 2014 style of situation where we don't know what we have, we don't know what it's going to look like, and we don't know what team's going to show up on Saturday. Now, I will say one of the biggest benefits to us playing some of the younger dudes or some of the backups at this point in time is if we're going to be in rebuild mode, if we were to lose to West Virginia, then this makes sense. But just simply because of injuries and I would argue mismanagement of the roster and the playbook. Guys, Casey Dunn's playbook is probably legitimately the smallest playbook in the Big 12. Not hyperbole. I'm saying number of plays on a play sheet. It doesn't look like we run more than the same 20 plays every single game. And that kind of sucks whenever you're trying to script 15, 25 plays to begin the game, and then you only utilize the same 13 to 15 plays every single game. It means you're taking an already small playbook and you're shrinking it down so much that, of course, the defense knows what the play is going to be. Of course, they know what route concepts are coming based on the shifts and the motions, where the fullback is, where the tight ends are, whether we're an A set or we're have a 3 wide. We've done a little bit of 4 wide. That was kind of cool. We got to see a little bit of Ollie Gordon get loose. That was cool. And then we completely abandoned it. The dude was at 5.1 yards per carry. And then we stopped giving him the ball. And ironically enough, now we know he's getting hit in the backfield 52% of the time. So the O-line is a disaster. The D-line is a disaster. And now the depth at linebacker has become disastrous. Again, I cannot wrap my head around how anybody can look at this particular lineup and say, yeah, these are the guys we're running with on Saturday, and we're only going to dress out a handful of them. Because what? Well, now you have to upgrade Mailake Smith, right? He's got to dress. He's got to go, unless we're going to upgrade Garrett Wilson, which is a possibility because he's not your run-of-the-mill walk-on. But now you're talking about losing people at linebacker and having some minor injuries with dudes at safety that are still playable, but it is concerning. Again, as we discussed earlier in the week, without getting into such deep context, we are playing kind of thin. And I jokingly referred to Bryan Nardo needing to go get the cross-country team to come play safety for Oklahoma State because they're just running around all daggone day. Well, now, the best player on the team, Nick Martin, I don't think anyone will argue that, is out. All of our stars on the defensive side of the ball are out. And it doesn't, I don't get the feeling that the staff is doing a whole lot to shift things enough to have a unique game plan enough to score enough to beat West Virginia. I mean, I hope I'm wrong. It's just like I hope that I'm wrong about Chance Clements. But again, I just, for the life of me, I don't understand how somebody who is the size of a safety but too slow to play safety is now going to play linebacker against a West Virginia ball club that has a running back that's like 6'1", 240 pounds. They have a faster version of Trent Howland in their backfield, and we're gonna. I need to move on. That's what I need to do. So that's what we're gonna do. Goodness me. I might be moving on to a new topic, but you do not need to move on from your monetary gains that you could potentially get with FanDuel, especially right now. They're doing the daggone thing, and they're hooking people up. I know Cowboy football's been fairly depressing. The news today, unfortunately, also very depressing. So let's uplift your spirits, because the NFL has a bunch of Cowboys that are getting it done right now, and they're giving you the opportunity to have your biggest return ever on FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. When you get that tingling sensation down in your loins that something big is about to happen and somebody's about to break free, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more to help you get on the right page, which is the same page that you're going to make your bets from. You need to get started today with $200 back in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Again, get your 200 bones back in bonus bets guaranteed with your first $5 holler. Make sure that you go to FanDuel.com to get your monetary gains in the right place today. All right. So now we're going to try to bring back a little bit of calm Cody. Guys, I'm having a hard time. Having a hard time with the being calm thing. I think every fan has the right to be irate. Just like every fan has the right to question whether our coaching staff is either capable or willing to turn this thing around. It does look like there's a lot of complacency, right? 36 seniors, 35 seniors, whatever it was, coming back looked like it was going to be a tremendous thing. But now it looks like they're just a little bit too comfy in their britches, and they're not putting in the same work they did maybe as a sophomore to try to get on the starting lineup. Maybe it's complacency. I don't know. But we are about to find out on the defense side of the ball, which is a problem, right? Because the guys that we were not having any problems with, Nick Martin, Collin Oliver, those are the dudes that out. Justin Wright was killing it in the fall. He's out. Now, thankfully, again, he should be back in a few weeks. Collin Oliver could be back in a month or so. I don't think the prognosis for Nick Martin is good. Obviously, I don't think the prognosis for Zane Flores is good either. So, again, we're stuck in a very, very, my favorite word, precarious situation here. But let's kind of talk about some of the Cowboys that are going to need to step up now that we know we have some deficiencies here. Jeff Robertson, right? He was the dude that was pegged to start a couple years ago ahead of Xavier Benson. He had an ACL tear, which kind of prevented him from taking that role. He has been able to start now for several games at Oklahoma State. I think we can all admit it's been a little underwhelming. Athletically, we want to see a little bit more from Jeff Robertson. He's going to be starting. That's going to be a big deal. The 6'2", 225-pound senior out of Choctaw, Oklahoma, needs to carry the weight here. Then I think you do need to talk about the fact that Chance Clements, he's going to get his opportunity. This is evidently his time to shine. And yes, I am concerned about him being 6 foot, 205 pounds. I'm very, very concerned about it. But intellectually, I do know that he's going to be able to provide enough stops, or at least he's going to physically put his body in the right place to create stops for the defense. But as far as him showing up and showing out and having a big day, I hope it happens. We can all hope and pray. I just don't see it. And it makes me sad because he's a Stillwater High dude. I want to see him flourish. Another Stillwater High dude that we know is going to get a lot of opportunities because he really doesn't have much choice is Gabe Brown. The 6'2", 235-pound sophomore from Stillwater High School is now in prime position to kind of launch himself into this NIL space of what he could potentially end up being and being worth. Now, we do know if Chance Clements and Gabe Brown have big days with them being Stillwater High School guys, that is going to do tremendous things for their future, and it's going to put all of our minds at ease. I do have a lot of faith in Gabe Brown, which is kind of ironic. Originally, I thought that, this was kind of a homie hookup style of deal. We're getting him because he's from Stillwater High School, and he's a buddy of Gunner and Ethan. But I was wrong. And I like being wrong quite a bit because this time, this guy is going to have his opportunity to shine. What we saw in spring, what we saw in fall, hopefully is able to translate on the field for Gabe Brown, because unfortunately, what we saw in the spring and the fall was the defensive line that was more than adequate, right? They were dominating a decent amount of time. But now we know it's because our O-line is kind of a Charmin soft week right now. It is what it is. Another linebacker that we need to pay attention to for this game is number 25, Ike Essenwoon, 6 foot, 225-pound redshirt freshman. You've heard me call him the Energizer Bunny that never slows down. If he can convert that to the football field, I think we're going to be in really good shape. I think Ike just brings a level of energy constantly that nobody else in that room does, which I think does put him in a position to end up being on the field more often than not. Speaking of individuals that need to be on the field more often than not, we need to get to see a little bit of what they can do. It is time to see number 14, Landon Cleveland, the true freshman, 6 foot, 190 pounds from Dallas, Texas. The dude who turned down some of the biggest schools in the country like Oregon and Alabama and Texas to come to Oklahoma State. He's been rotating. He's been practicing. He's been making some things happen. Hopefully he gets his opportunity this week on not just special teams, but we'll definitely likely see him on special teams. Another dude I'm hoping that we'll see a whole lot of is Taiwan Ray. Y'all have heard me ranting and raving about how I think he's going to be a dude. Well, it's 6'1", 200 pounds, almost the same size as our starting linebacker, or at least a rotational linebacker for this game. Getting off topic. I think he does obviously need to go a little bit bigger, but athletically, he fits the mold. Size-wise, he's going to be able to lock people down. He doesn't mind mixing it up, sticking his nose in there and having some fun. Defensively, we all know about Parker Robertson, right? Cool story, walk-on, 5'11", 190 pounds, redshirt junior from Walkwall, Texas. He's been able to bide his time, earn a scholarship, and now he's getting playing time. Not only that, but it's playing time that looks very legitimate. And then, of course, Kendal Daniels. With his injury to his foot, it's healing now as of like yesterday. So he's likely not going to be anywhere near full speed on Saturday, but he's going to be good enough to go. Him and Jeff Robertson, in my opinion, are going to have to carry a lot of weight here. I know Chance Clements is definitely going to get his opportunities, as is Gabe Brown. I'm excited to see what Ike Essenwoon can do. I think Taiwan Ray is kind of similar to Ike Essenwoon if Ike were to play safety. And then also, I think it's only a matter of time before we see guys like Gunnar Wilson, freshman, 6'3", 220 pounds. He's going to get some time, I think, at some point in the season, at least on special teams, as is Jonathan Agumadu. Athletically, the dude is a gifted freak, right? Came in at 6'3", 210 pounds. He's going to have to go through the Rob Glass system a little bit more to kind of get where he needs to be. But athletically, he's a freak. He can run around and do some things that Collin Oliver was able to do in practice as a freshman as well. So if we're looking at something that's slightly reminiscent of Collin Oliver, Jonathan Agumadu might be it. Tamarick Johnson eventually could be a candidate to kind of slide into one of those positions as well. But we're depleted. And I think we're only dressing a handful of these dudes. I think that's been kind of standard. But the standard of dressing a handful of dudes when you have a plethora of guys available, I think, is a little bit different than dressing a bunch of dudes when you don't have a plethora of dudes ready to rock and roll. This is problematic, and I think this makes this West Virginia game incredibly difficult. I hope and I pray and I pray and I hope that I'm wrong about Chance Clements, but I just don't see it. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I don't feel it. I ain't with it. I would love to be wrong. I'm telling y'all. Matter of fact, I will go live this weekend after baseball if it's to eat some crow. I will gladly do that. If Chance Clements has a massive day, I will shut my big old trap and insert a bunch of crow gladly, and I'll do it live because it would deserve it. Again, I hope I'm wrong. We need this W. But this ain't looking so hot, in my personal opinion, right? And let me know down in the comment section what you think. Oh, and yeah, of course, if you like it, hit the like button. If you don't, I get it. I'm tracking. It's okay to dislike things. We don't have to like everything. But I'm trying to continue to give you guys a little bit something different that most of O State Nation doesn't really provide. I try to make it fun. And yeah, I try to intertwine enough of adequate information without going so far that it essentially, kind of ruins some plans. But maybe, just maybe, they know who they are. They should stop pretending that this is an issue. That this, whatever. We'll get there. We'll get there. You can get there. I can get there. We can all get there almost together if you have Game Time. The stress of travel and rentals and hotels, it's completely unnecessary to add on top of it with tickets. We're not just talking about game day tickets, whether you're into concerts or music or theater or sports. Game Time has you covered. You know what the Game Time pick. They're going to filter out all the fluffy stuff to show you the best deals and the greatest seats without you searching through thousands of tickets for thousands of minutes and thousands of hours. Get rid of it and get Game Time in your phone today. The Game Time picks make it easier for you to save more on sports, concerts, music, theater, whatever. The all-in pricing is a feature that gives you the total up front with no surprise fees at checkout. The Game Time ticket coverage is the bee's knees because your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. You need to take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Again, that is LOCKEDONCollege, LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Game Time today because you already know what it is. It's Game Time. Game Time, prime time to the biggest win of the season. Not only would this be the biggest win of the season because of how depleted we currently are in the depth chart department, but Bryan Nardo has been getting chastised, and statistically, his chastisation makes sense. I don't even know if chastisation is a word, but if not, it is now. So the chastisation maybe doesn't belong to Bryan Nardo, but maybe it does. If he can somehow put forth a game plan against a mobile quarterback with a team with a good tight end and two good running backs, with a bunch of backups on the field, not only backups, but dudes that I don't think we anticipated playing a single snap this year, are not only going to be on the field, but they're going to be playing a lot. So if somehow Bryan Nardo can put together a game plan that can slow West Virginia down enough for us to get to W, he deserves the Gatorade bath, champagne shower, whatever you want to throw at him. He deserves it because now our back's up against the wall more so than ever before in the course of this season. The injury bug is hitting this defense like it's week 10. It's not. It's not week 10. We're not even close. So this would be one of the biggest wins ever of Bryan Nardo's career if he can pull this off. This would be the biggest win of the year by a country mile for both Oklahoma State and West Virginia. Mike Gundy needs this W as much as Neil Brown does. Neil Brown might be on the hot seat. Mike Gundy's never on the hot seat. But nonetheless, if we're going to jump in a rebuild mode, it hinges on this game. If we win this game, we can keep everything status quo, go into the bye week, try to get a couple dudes a little bit more healthy, and then make a run at still having an opportunity to play in the Big 12 title, which does obviously give you a chance at the CFP. But if we lose this game, we're looking at a bowl game as the hell Yahuwah. I don't know about you guys, but 20 returning starters, 90% of the roster, 30-some-odd seniors, 16 redshirt juniors, virtually 95% of every coach is back. And the production is pretty horrendous. The statistics are pretty terrible. The outcome of the games obviously have not been good. The lack of willingness to call things out and make adjustments are starting to become so frustrating that, again, this will be the biggest win of the year. We have a depleted roster. We have a bottom-tier quarterback. We have the worst OC in the conference. We have a coach that is either being stubborn or partially stupid. I don't think Mike Gundy's dumb. But I don't know if the gaslighting is real or if it's intentionally designed to throw everybody off track. I don't get it. But nonetheless, it doesn't change that the race for the Big 12 title kind of begins and ends to some degree with this game. West Virginia knows that. We know that. And now we know that we have a bunch of dudes that are going to be out for a significant amount of time on both sides of the ball. So if we get this W, the trajectory for the season still kind of remains. The hope that we had before the season started, that we saw in the fall, it still kind of remains. But you lose this game, then you might as well just throw caution to the wind. Like, what's the point? Well, honestly, and somebody let me know down in the comment section, what is the point of playing 30-something seniors if the product on the field is terrible? Like, you could throw out a bunch of freshmen and sophomores and probably look just as inept as we do currently. So again, why do we have 30-some-odd seniors if the product on the field looks like we got a bunch of freshmen running around? Well, we're going to see some of that this weekend. But unfortunately, I don't necessarily think it's the right dudes. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm really wrong. I would love to eat my words. I'd love to eat some crow. But with all this stuff, I just don't see how we get the dub. And I don't know that it's as close as I thought it was going to be either. It is what it is. I'm not the enemy. They think I am. But it's okay. Because I'm not here for them. I'm here for you. I'm here to build this daggone thing. If it takes one brick at a time, that's fine. If I got to kick bricks over because they keep getting in my way, that's fine. Or, I don't know. Yeah. I'll play some ball. I don't mind. But I'm going to call it like it is, too. And they don't like that. So here we be. All righty, y'all. I appreciate you swinging through here on this emergency episode. I can't speak words sometimes. English is hard for me. Appreciate you sticking by. As always, God bless. Go Pokes. Thank you for tuning in to make this your first listen here on Locked On Oklahoma State. You could be anywhere. So happy you choose to be here. Again, like it if you like the daggone thing. Dislike it if you don't. That's okay too. More importantly, share, comment, and subscribe my podcast with people out there. You're the bricks, the bread, the butter, the foundation, the fondue, the fluffy stuff. You're all of it. I love you. Do what you do. Hit the stars. Leave a review. You could be anywhere, but you're not. You're here. At least you're here right now. So I appreciate you. All righty, y'all. We're going to skedaddle on off of here. We're going to cross our fingers. We're going to hope and pray to our buddy, 8-pound, 11-ounce baby Jesus, that we get some health and we get this dub. All righty, y'all. Later, taters.